return spring. For what we need this clutch return spring? This spring connects to the clutch fork, so the clutch bearing not touching the clutch pressure plate. When we go down the hill, our clutch bearing can touch our clutch pressure plate.
Patrick's Garage.
So this spring just hold it. So this gap should be approximately 3 millimeters. Volvo recommend this gap between we can regulate it, so it should be this gap approximately 3 millimeters. So this spring will be connects it connects to the fork and to the rear side of the gearbox. So this simple function, and we need to install it into its place. I found this spring on the floor in the garage, so it was a lot of time I can't find them on sale. Yes, was very difficult, so I can't find them for the affordable price, and I decided to return the spring into its correct place. So we need to go under the car, and we can install this spring into its place. And thing is, can we driving without this spring? Yes, you can. And nothing wrong can be, just only thing that noise when you go under the hill at the angle. So this is without this spring bearing, clutch bearing can touch pressure plate, clutch pressure plate. Only return function for this spring, like in drum brakes. In olden cars was drum brakes, so it return parts so they not touch the drum. But now in the disc brakes, there is no any springs. This function can be done by rubber rings inside the brake caliper. But in drum brakes, this function was done also by spring. Our task to install this spring correctly into its place so it not falls down. I was lucky enough that I found this spring on the floor in the garage. So in the next time, if this spring falls down, probably we can't find this spring on the road. So we need to install this spring correctly from both sides.
You don't want your car rolling away while you're under it. So we don't want to be squashed. Just harsh reality, you can't walk under the car while it on the jack. Here is our pedal, so you can see how place our pedal. And will be better to adjust the clutch cable. Now we're lifting our car and our jack not too much shabby. Not enough oil inside our jack, but will be better to put timbers under the car. And that's for sure, we put them under the frame, not under the floor. And here you see my working place. Jack point, and you see I've put timbers under the frame. I truly say this is not frame, this is a unibody construction, frame and body welded together. So here is our spring, and we have to figure it how to install it correctly so it not falls down again, our clutch return spring. And yes, it will be a vast improvement in comparison with previous time, and will be no additional annoying noise from the bearing. Now our spring in its place, and we want to adjust a little bit our clutch fork, because you see this is play more than it should be. It should be a 3 millimeters, and I've loosed by wrench. This is nuts for adjusting. You can use only wrench, you can't use socket for losing them. And so good that we have a ton of room for working, our working place, good access. And you tested it out, too much play. And we don't leave it at that, we need to adjust the gap between fork and small ball on the edge of cable. The tail of cable with small ball, and this gap maintained by this spring. All it does. Yes, we should admit that with spring, really convenient to adjust the clutch cable, and the spring it revert our bearing from the clutch pressure plate. So this gap should be, and we're not going to quibble to our clutch about this noise. And noise, as I said, as you know, only when you go under the hill, because clutch bearing touches the clutch pressure plate. And if you'd like, and you should, to use ruler, you want to measure this gap with a ruler. Now gap you see between clutch cable and clutch fork, at this point too much a little bit. And we check how clutch pressure plate works. It works perfectly. You see I made marks, and now we can measure them. More, yes, really more than 3 millimeters. And so clutch don't do what it's supposed to do. So our clutch pressure plate should work completely. And we can't adjust it shoddily because our gearbox will be worn more faster. So clutch should be realized in proper way, completely. And it's as incentive to adjust our clutch cable. So we don't want to get worn gears inside our gearbox. And considering all this, you can assess pretty well the value of this work. And now, as you see, we can do a lot of work, albeit not so quickly as probably professional mechanics who doing this work every day. Here is parts diagram, and it's really difficult to say with certainty which way of adjusting will be better, which technique of adjusting more effective. So choose the way which will be appropriate for you. And obviously in car repairing is so important to find ways of repairing which will be more enjoyable, especially for you. And if we enjoy the way we're doing this, we will continue to doing this. And this is more important thing, that we keep active in our hobby of car repairing.
Now, if you want to say anything about this topic, please do in the comments box, and I think a lot of guys will be interested about your thoughts, including me, and I'll answer to your message as soon as I finish to smoking my cigar.